My name's CL Lindsay. I'm an expert in higher education law. I am the author of The College Student's Guide to the Law, and I have spent the last 15 years, actually almost 20 years, helping students stay out of and get out of trouble. One more preliminary thing. My organization is a nonprofit. We wanted to make these lectures interesting. We wanted to hire like models and actors to illustrate these legal philosophies to you. We couldn't afford that. So we did the only thing we could afford, which is steal action figures from our little brothers and sisters. So you'll see action figures getting in trouble. I know that sounds hokey, but it totally works, especially when I get to talk about things like unsolicited dick pics. My apologies to all of the Harry Potter fans out there, or things like urinating outside after a fraternity party. I do a lot of talks. I do one on social media technology in the law. I do one about sex in the law. My favorite one, or one of my favorite ones, is alcohol parties in the law, teaching students how to throw a safe and legal party. But this fall, I put together an entirely new lecture, College, COVID, and the Law. It covers a lot of these novel legal issues that have come up over the last 6 or 7 months. Now, this lecture is going to be dynamic. This stuff is changing fast, so I'll swap issues in and out. But right now I'm talking about things like liability waivers. If you're on a campus right now, I'm sure you signed one. If you're going back to a campus, you'll sign one, I'm sure, when you go back. How do those things work? What are the legal mechanics of them? I talk about masks and other mandates. It's amazing. People ask me all the time, can I legally, by the government or a private entity, be forced to wear a mask? Of course you can. And then they follow up, well, do I have to wear it right? Can I have my nose hanging out? And the answer again is yes, of course they can. Wearing a mask with your nose out is like going to a restaurant that requires you to, wear pants like this and saying, hey, I'm wearing pants, I'm still following the rules, serve me a steak now. I would also cover things like if you have a student job, what are your rights when you go back to your job? Like, how do you protect yourself? And I give some practical advice. Coursework, how do you navigate the professor-student relationship during COVID, having a COVID go bag ready to go. But I want to spend a little bit of time today on parties in the pandemic. And by the way, I love that the Hulk can't keep his mask on. That's very, very good. Listen, that's just getting all the attention media-wise. And I think that's what students are actually thinking about. Now, I could tell you, 100 different stories about instances on college campuses where students didn't follow the rules and things went badly. But UNC Chapel Hill is a good enough example. On August 3rd, college freshmen got back to campus there. They were moving in. There's a dad moving his son in. Actually, I don't know that that's a dad. That could actually be an 18-year-old freshman who has just lived some very, very hard days and has already gone bald. Everybody who got to campus, they got a long set of rules, like everybody else who got to campus, that said, hey, you got to social distance, you got to wear a mask. And at the end, look at what it said. You acknowledge that willful failure to comply with these standards may result in your disenrollment, restrict your access to campus, or subject you to disciplinary proceedings. They had immediate problems with adherence. August 5th, 2 days later, there was apparently some event on Sorority Row. A bunch of kids were walking around without masks, drinking, doing all sorts of different things. Upperclassmen came back August 10th. By August 11th, 3 upperclassmen had already been kicked off of campus, out of housing, not expelled, but just out of housing for having parties in their rooms. By August 17th, there were 130 cases of COVID-19 on campus, and that same day, they shut things down. They said, you know what? Go home. We're not going to have on-campus classes anymore. And August 20th, 10 days after upperclassmen came back, people were moving out. The thing that people ask me about, because I'm a lawyer, is that part. They say, hey, is that fair? Can I get kicked off of campus? Can I get expelled for having a party? That seems harsh. And in my experience, the answer to that is almost always going to be yes, because the only time that colleges get caught up is when they don't follow their own rules. And colleges were incredibly careful to make sure the rules were very clear and the punishments were clear. That kind of thing right there, that makes it almost impossible to challenge something like this. And by the way, it's not just parties that are getting people into trouble. This happened at Amherst this fall. This kid, Alistair Poole, winner of the best name on all college campuses this fall, an RA, a returning sophomore, he got back to campus. He was kicked off the first day of classes. 2 infractions got him kicked off. First, he walked from his residence hall room down the hall to the bathroom without his mask on, got busted. Second, he had 2 students that didn't live in his suite with masks on, helping him move a couch. Now, he got kicked off campus. He is appealing that, but it's still pending. And here's the other thing. If you get disciplined at school and you try to appeal it, you generally don't get to go to a court. You have to actually go to the school itself. And they have zero incentive to be lenient, especially about COVID-19, because they'd much rather have you sue them, saying it wasn't fair you kicked me off campus, than have the parents of a student who got sick or even died suing them saying, you didn't keep my kids safe. So a couple other things to think about with this stuff. Number one, there's going to be differences in enforcement in off-campus police and on-campus. That's always the case, but with COVID-19, it's actually flip-flopped because it's usually harsher on campus. Listen, if you get caught drinking underage, it's way better to get caught by an RA because you have to watch like alcohol.edu or come see me speak. But if you get caught off campus, it's often losing your license and fines and things like that. It's the other way around with COVID-19. West Lafayette, they have the strictest off-campus rules. Their town passed these ordinances that say if you get caught without a mask, you got not social distancing, you're looking at $1,000 fine or community service. That is harsh. That said, it is way, way less than getting expelled or kicked off of campus. And again, like I said before, if it's in their rules, it will stick. So what a college kid's got to do? Number one, read the rules. That's always important, but it is so important during the COVID era. You have to understand what you're agreeing to do and what the punishments are if you don't follow those rules. But more importantly, I want you guys to think about the big picture. And by the way, I think college kids are getting unfairly villainized about this stuff. The media is liking to point fingers at you for causing all these problems. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, but forget about the blame right now. Forget about the discipline right now. And understand that being responsible and doing the right thing, that's in your own self-interest. Think about the thing you miss the most, the thing that you want to do that you can't because of COVID-19. It might be going to concerts. It might be travel. It might be just going to bars and meeting new people. Hello. Every time somebody's not as responsible as they should be, it lengthens the time until we get back to the world where we can do that stuff. It's funny. A lot of people think because I'm a lawyer, I want to wiggle out of things. I want to teach people how to get around rules. That's never been my MO. But there are certainly certain areas of the law. If you want to take a big deduction on your taxes and see if you get away with it, that's fine by me. But COVID-19 is not the place for this. We have to think in the aggregate. Take one party. This is a party that happened the first week of Penn State. Are these kids who went to this party after being cooped up for, I don't know what, 4 months in their houses? Is it a cardinal sin that they wanted to get together? Of course not. Is it a guarantee that there was going to be an outbreak at this school? Also no. But here's the thing. We have to think about all the parties. Because every time there's a party, some of them, a percentage of them are going to hit the COVID lotto and there's going to be an outbreak. So with all the college parties that happen all over the country, the more there are, more outbreaks, the longer it is until we get back to our regular lives. Listen, I do a hazing talk, and when I talk to those kids, one of the things I always talk to them about is, listen, I cannot give you magic words that's going to make you stop hazing. But what I can tell you as somebody who studies this stuff and as a lawyer, I know what the end game is. There are two end games. Number one, if you keep hazing each other, the Greek system is going to be gone at your school. Number two, more importantly, somebody's eventually going to get hurt. It's the same exact thing with COVID-19. The end games are, the less responsible people are, the higher the chances are you're going to end up going home and not have college on campus anymore. But more importantly, somebody could die. And it's not just vulnerable people. College kids could die. It's the same exact thing. All right, I hate ending on such a down note, but that's all my time. Again, my name's CL Lindsay. These are all the lectures I do. I would love to come to your campus virtually. Thanks so much for spending some time with me. Be safe as you can, guys. Have some fun, and please vote on November 3rd. Thanks.